a moment, a season in my life. I put you in my plans. I did what I thought was right. I worked so hard just to watch it die. Sometimes you have to leave some things behind.
Hey, it's BlastzoneMike, and welcome to BlastzoneMike's FireRock TV show. This is the third season, and today I have a special guest. I've seen this individual's dad play several times in my life, and it's Sebastian LaBar, and his dad is the late, great Jeff LaBar, and his dad was in Cinderella, which was one of the biggest bands of the late 80s, early 90s. How you doing?
I'm doing good, man. Yeah, thanks for having me.
You, from an early age, you know, you were around rock bands and stuff. Tell me the first time your dad had you go out with him and at a show or be around him when he was in Cinderella.
I mean, I was pretty much raised going on tour with Cinderella, and my mom would always bring me out to shows, like even as an infant. Like there's pictures of me like passed out in my mom's arms, you know, with like giant earmuffs on the side of the stage and stuff. So I had always been going out to shows and been around the band. Yeah, it wasn't until I was like, I want to say like 12 or 13 that I started actually like going on tour, like for a couple weeks with Dad and Cinderella. Usually like during the summer, a couple weeks, we'd, you know, figure it out when I had time and what runs would be fun, you know, for me and him to go do stuff. But yeah, no, I did that and loved every second of it. Like riding on the bus and, you know, seeing the crowd, seeing the venues, seeing like what the crew does all day long, you know, it was really cool.
What's your favorite memory of those times?
Me and my dad used to do, he'd come out for like, I'd say like usually a week or two during the summer when I was in school. Mm-hmm. And I know there was a couple times where he would save his per diem up for like a couple weeks ahead of that. So like, you know, we could splurge and go have some fun. Yeah. But I remember like the one trip I came out, we bought a GameCube. That was like the hot new thing at the time. We like bought it for the back lounge so me and him could like, you know, play games while we're like traveling. And we got like what was it? We got one of those like blow dart guns from a truck stop. I remember he was showing me how it worked, and he like shot it and it like stuck into the back wall of the bus in the back lounge. But I mean, hell, we did a bunch of stuff when I was out on the road. I think we stopped at, what is it, Legoland in I think it's like San Diego, California. We did that. We did Universal. You know, we did all sorts of goofy stuff. We used it as like, you know, tour is kind of like, it's work, but it's vacation. So, you know, for me, it was all vacation. So we really made sure that we had a lot of fun.
So who were some of your favorite bands you got to see out on tour with him?
Probably, I got to see Whitesnake. That was probably that still is one of my favorite bands. Got to see Megadeth. They're still also one of my favorite bands. They toured with Rat. Still love Rat. Warren's like one of my all-time favorite guitar players. My dad reminded me of a story from years ago that when I was little, we were standing on stage, like side stage, watching Rat, and like Warren goes up, and I always loved his snakeskin Charvel. Like I thought that was so sick.
Oh yeah, nice.
And he went up and like ripped a solo or something, and then I turned to my dad and I go, "Dad, when I get older, I want to play like that." Which, I mean, it's very fitting because now it's like Warren and George Lynch are like two of my favorite guitar players of all time.
Wow.
Yeah, there was one tour that I got every band that we were on tour with, and then there was like a couple festivals we played with like a bunch of other bands like Twisted Sister, Megadeth, Whitesnake, Firehouse, like I forget who else, but I had every band that we came in contact with sign the back of my guitar book. And I had that for forever, and then my dumbass left it at one of my teacher's houses and never got it back.
What years was this that you? Because I don't really know what your age is. So what years was this time period?
So I'm 32. This was probably like 2005.
They're around the Rocklahoma time when Rocklahoma first started in 2007.
Yes, actually,
and all that kind of stuff.
Yes. Yeah, it was right around then because I remember it was like Rocklahoma was a big one.
M3.
Yeah.
M3. You up?
M3. I've been to M3. I don't know if I went with Cinderella or not, but yeah, I know they played like every year.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's amazing, dude, because, I'm much older than you. So I seen Cinderella at a little club in Louisville, Kentucky called the Toy Tiger. And
okay.
I know you used to live in Louisville. I don't know if you do now, but there used to be, where the Thorntons is across from the Thorntons. There used to be a Toy Tiger there. And it was a little club, and Cinderella played there. Never forget. You weren't even born yet. This is around 90. Let's see. It was Still Climbing. That was the tour they were on. So it was the last album on the main label they were on Mercury. But I remember it was wild because they transitioned from freaking not stadiums, but 5,000 seat places to clubs like overnight because grunge came in, and they had a tractor full of shit to go in this little club. It was massive, man. I mean, just massive, and it was fun, man. But I think that's the only time I saw Cinderella. I was supposed to see Cinderella in Louisville back in the day when I was younger, when they toured with Bon Jovi the first time. And I didn't get to go see him, but do you guys still contact with any of those guys at all?
Yeah.
Or any of those guys?
Yeah, so no, I talk to them periodically. It's mostly just kind of like here and there. Like Eric, I just talked to him. I feel like I just texted him like last week or something. He was asking, what was it? Oh, a mutual friend of ours had passed away. And he was asking, like, how you doing? Like, are you going to be there for the funeral, whatever? But we were talking about getting together. I haven't seen him since my dad's celebration. Fred, I'll usually hit up if I'm going through LA. He came out to a tantric show a couple years ago. Tom, I haven't seen in a while, but from what I gather, I'm pretty sure he lives like a town over from me now. So we just haven't. Yeah, he lives. I'm pretty sure he lives in Franklin, and I live in Brentwood. So I mean, we're just that's how Nashville is, though. It's like we all live there, but like no one's ever home. You're home at different times, kind of. But
did you ever think that you would maybe even play with Tom Kiefer one day?
So I mean, there was one time after my dad had a hip replacement surgery in I want to say 2010, 2011, somewhere in there. And there was a show book or shows booked that he wasn't sure if he was going to be recovered enough in time to do those shows. So at that point, they were like asking him, they're like, hey, like, are you going to be good to do these shows? And he's like, I don't really know. Like, it's touch and go, but, you know, hey, Sebastian can do it. And I think I was like 19, 20, something at the time.
Mm-hmm.
So like there was a question there for a minute, and he had he ran me through all his parts for the whole set. Like, I learned everything. And like at that time, I kind of already knew the whole set anyway, because, you know, from seeing them every night, and I would ask my dad when we're playing guitar or whatever, like, hey, how does this harmony go, or what's your part for this, or, you know, like I just kind of knew most of it, but we had fine-tuned everything. And I knew the set, so there was a question there for a minute, but he wound up recovering in time and being able to do shows.
Do you think they're? I know Eric's retired now, pretty much, and I know Fred doesn't do much anymore. But do you think there would be a chance Cinderella would get back together and you'd be able to play those parts your dad played?
So my answer to the situation, absolutely. If I got a phone call and they asked, 100% I would do it. Now on the flip side is, I don't know. I don't think that phone call's ever going to come.
Yeah.
Just because I know these guys, they have like a very Zeppelin-like philosophy, as in, you know, if it's not the original 4 or 5, like, I don't want to do it. You know, they don't want it to be something that's lesser than it was, or end on like a low note. You know, they had a good run. It was all the original guys. So they don't necessarily, or Tom, or all of them don't necessarily really want to do it unless it's all of them. And, you know, I mean, shit, the same weekend, my dad and Gary Corbett died. You know, they both, it was like the same week they both passed away.
That's right. Both got some Cinderella. Yeah.
Yeah. So right there, they were kind of like, all right, you know, we're good. We all got our own things going on. Tom's got a solo band. So, you know, I can't knock them for that. You know, they had 25 years. They stayed together and they had a fantastic run. They, you know, did some very iconic things for, you know, someone to have in a career. But yeah, if they ever called, 100%.
Have you, one last thing, have you ever seen the commercial he did before they got famous for the hot dog place?
Yes, I grew up in the area in Delaware County where Cinderella was from, and they're like local heroes in Delaware County, and everyone knew Cinderella. Everyone knew my dad. You know, like, you know, Bob's cousin's sister went to school with Tom, and, you know, I always hear these stories of, you know, oh, I know Cinderella. I used to drive his bus or whatever. But yeah, so that commercial, everyone be like, oh yeah, you ever see Pat's Dogs? It's like, yes, I've seen Pat's Dogs. My dad wasn't in that, and Fred wasn't in that. That's only Eric and Tom.
Okay.
No, it's only Eric and Tom.
But it's a funny commercial, man. It's like you sit there like, wow, okay.
Yeah, I have a suspicion that that's why Cinderella didn't do more like movies or like commercials, or, you know, like bands will let their music be used for this or that, or, you know, just to like bring in more royalties. I have a suspicion that after that commercial, Tom was like, nah, I'm good. You know, I've heard enough about Pat's Dogs. Like,
That's hilarious, man. So who taught you how to play guitar? Did you learn from your dad?
Yeah, so I learned a bunch from my dad. Obviously, he was always around. The guitars were always around. The gear was always around. I was always around. You know, backstage shows, the whole industry. But so my dad got me started, and then he took me to as far as he could, and then he started showing me. He's like, all right, well, you know, these are my influences. These guys are really cool. You should check them out. Listen to these bands. Listen to these records. Then he started getting me teachers. So he would like take me to, you know, it was the local music store with George's Music in down in Delaware County. So he like got me a cool teacher there to start like making sure I progressed and learned as much as I could, and then from there I went on to like the Philadelphia School of Rock and did a bunch of stuff there. Yeah, he took me as far as he could and showed me as many things as possible, but also told me to look elsewhere for more knowledge, because he knew that he didn't himself know everything. You know, he was never like classically trained, or not necessarily classically trained, but he never really had music teachers. He always just had like, all right, I bought this book, I'm going to run through it, or, you know, I'm going to learn this Beatles record. So he wanted to make sure I could learn the most.
Do you play any of his guitars?
I have all of his gear, his guitars. I have too much of his shit, to be quite frank.
Too much.
Yeah, it's a lot. But no, so I used to tour with like damn near his whole rig. Like I had like a stack and a half with the old JCM 800s. Then I would tour with the double neck and the white Les Paul and all the Kramers and the Strat and everything. You know, like it was so overkill. I look back and I'm like, why did I even want to carry all that shit around? I wasn't, and I was playing clubs. I wasn't playing stadiums or anything, so it really was overkill. But you know, it was cool. It was fun. But anymore, I just leave all that stuff at home. I have other Les Pauls that, you know, God forbid anything happens to them, it's not the end of the world. They're not, you know, now that he's passed, everything's become more valuable to me and sentimental. So, and like all the gear, it's just, you know, it means too much and it's too old and vintage, sentimental to risk it being stolen or broken.
Well, you know, it's Sebastian, it's commendable of you, because a lot of kids in your situation with a famous dad would have already got rid of everything and would have been like, you know, hey, I need to make some money, and my dad was famous and I can make money off of it. So that's commendable of you, man.
Yeah, thank you. I definitely, I try to keep as much as I can. I have let a few pieces go, but I made sure that it was never about like money or anything. It was just literally about, I have too much stuff and not enough space.
Yeah.
So like I have let a couple pieces go, but I've made sure that I made a deal with them. It's like, hey, when time comes, like I'm gonna buy this bike. When I have like a house, you know, or like a giant storage unit or somewhere I can put all this stuff.
That's great, man. And do you think that, I know your dad did a solo album that was on Rat Pack Records, but
yes,
does he got music that's never been heard that you might actually put together with you playing guitar on it too and put out one day?
So right before he passed, we were working on new music. He had had a three record deal with Rat Pack. Mm-hmm. Obviously he did the one, and I was kind of pushing him I was like, dude, well, if you got a 3 record deal, like let's work together. Like I always loved playing with my dad. My dad was my best friend, so that was like that was everything I wanted to do. Was, you know, dude, let's write a record. You know, let's have some fun. So we were working on new stuff. Unfortunately, we didn't get very far into that process before he had passed away. But after he had passed, I had found old like cassette tapes and reels and like old demos of stuff that I had never heard, that was never released. It was a lot of like, I don't know how to put it, like usually modern musicians, it's like we put our iPhone down and we just hit record on like what is it, the recording app or whatever, I'm blanking on it, but yeah, you just like record your ideas. So it was a lot of stuff like that, and then there was some songs that were full instrumentals, and then there was other songs that were complete songs that he had recorded with like whatever lineup or like another band or whatever. So I had, over the course of a couple of years, I've digitized everything, had it mixed and mastered, and put together a small like I'd say like an EP. I think it's like 6 songs or 6 or 7 songs of completed unheard music. I think it was one of the songs. It was completely done. I had that mixed and mastered, and I sang the vocal parts. There was another one that was like the idea was there, but like some of the stuff was missing, so I added some guitar parts. There was like I think 2 full instrumentals. But yeah, so I've been kind of sitting on that for a minute. I just got it done. Plus, like everyone I was working on it with was also in touring bands. So while I was on tour, in between, I would get done what I could, and then I would send it to them, and then they were on tour, and then they'd come home and then do what they can. So it's taken a little bit. But I just need to get
release that eventually?
Yes. Yeah, I have it pretty much ready to go. I've just got to finalize the art and figure out how I'm going to present it, like packaging wise and stuff like that. But yeah, I just really, I'm not, it's not going to be like dropping a Taylor Swift record. But I just wanted to release something for the fans, for the people who were a fan of my dad and, Cinderella, and just kind of put something else out there to like be his coda, like his
awesome.
Last little bit. So
that's awesome. Well, I'd love to hear it when you finally get it together. What are you doing these days? I know that you were in Tantric for some time. I know you work with Ian Karabi, which is John's son, for a while.
yeah.
I mean, what are you up to these days?
Nowadays, so I went from I was in Tantric for like 5 years. I also feel like every time I say that, the number changes. I joined in 2018. I swear, I'm like, I was in Tantric for 16 years. But yeah, no, I was in Tantric for like I think about 5 years. And then I played after that. I just needed to change a pace, so I went out and was touring with the band Rehab. And then from there, I was on tour with Rehab, and Bobby Amaru from Saliva he gave me a call and asked me to join Saliva. That was, I think, last fall, I believe. And
so you're in Saliva now. So you're doing Wayne's stuff now.
Yes, yeah. So me and Josh Kulak are both playing guitar. So it's a 5-piece again. But yeah, I knew all these guys from touring with him in Tantric, and I love the songs. I love Wayne. He was such a great hang, such a cool dude. Like, he was the other guitar player on tour with us that was like actually a rock guy. We liked the same stuff. Like, he loved the 80s shit. That's what I grew up on, with my dad. So we had a lot to talk about, and we used to hang all the time. So it was cool when Bobby called me to be able to kind of fill those shoes, so to speak, and reminisce. And it's a great gig.
Who's in Saliva now?
Who's in it?
Yeah.
So we've got Bobby Amaru, he's been with him for, I think, like 13 years at this point.
Yeah.
Brad Stewart, he's been with them for, I want to say 10 years, and I could be wrong. Sammy Bishop, she's playing drums. And then myself and Josh Kulak.
Oh, cool. Are you do you got any dates yet for this year?
So all the dates they're on my Facebook. I just posted them the other day. We have a tour coming up mid-February, mid-March with Hinder, Kingdom Collapse. Yeah, it's Hinder, Saliva, and Kingdom Collapse.
I seen that. I remember that now. I remember that. Oh yeah. Hinder's the headliner.
Yes, yeah. Which I'm not upset about. We get like a smooth 45 minutes, and then I get to go hang out and relax. But no, those guys are great. The package works really well together. I'm sure we'll have some great shows on that tour.
That's great, man. And Are you all going to record a new Saliva album?
So as far as new music, we've got a new single out right now, Time Bomb. That dropped a couple weeks ago. It's doing really, really well. We've got a feature by this guy, Peyton Parrish. Him and Bobby worked great together. And it's, like I said, it's doing great. It's where everyone's pushing it. We've got another one locked and loaded. I believe that's going to drop January 31st. Or I'm sorry, no, it's not. I don't think they're dropping the single. They're dropping the re-release of the last record, Revelation. It's Revelation Retold. So it's a lot of that was the last record that they recorded with Wayne. So yeah, that was the last record they did with Wayne. And then they're re-releasing it with a couple more songs and a couple different versions of the songs that were on that record with like different features from other artists or like different mixes just to like kind of add a little bit to it. But that's dropping on January 31st.
My band that's on my label that I've got that I signed, they're called the Fast Mothers. They're on the FireRock Music Group, which is the label that I work for. They have a song called New Stacks, and Wayne is playing a bum outside of the famous club there in Memphis, begging for money with a cup. And
that's hilarious.
Yeah, they're from Memphis and they lived there all their life since they were born. Actually, their dad was famous in Memphis, and they were good friends with Wayne. And they asked me to be in the video, and you can tell plain as day it's Wayne. So
that's so funny.
Look up, like I said, the Fast Mothers, and it's called New Stacks. And you'll see them. You'll probably dig them. They're kind of like Black Crowes meets Dirty Honey and the Rolling Stones. That's what they sound like. Okay. Really good stuff, man. And where can people reach out to you, man, if they wanna, get something that you've done in the past, or they've got something that you want you signed, or they just want to say hi?
Man, I mean, I'm all over social media. Instagram, Sebastian LaBar Official, Sebastian LaBar Facebook. I guess they're shutting down TikTok, so you can't find me there now. But any social media platforms, feel free to reach out. I'm pretty responsive to people. As far as bands, Tantric, did a couple records with them, Saliva now. Even my old band, Mach 22, all of it is on all streaming platforms. So check it out.
All right, man. When you see Ian again, tell him I said, hey, I got to interview him back during the pandemic, and great dude to talk to, man.
Yeah, definitely.
Big fan of his dad's. I've seen his dad in 3 of his bands. So I saw him in Union. I saw him in Motley Crue, and I've seen him with the Dead Daisies. So I've seen him in 3 bands. So.
Nice.
So when you talk to him, just tell him I said hey, and I didn't get to see him that night. I said hi to him, but he was sick. So he was trying to stay away from people because he didn't want to get them sick. So we didn't get to talk that much. But great dude, man. Hopefully you all can work together again in the future.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, me and him, I see him all the time. He's like one of my closest friends. We're always talking about different song ideas, or like if a project comes up, we're usually thinking of each other. So definitely, I wouldn't be shocked if you see us both on stage again.
Well, it was good talking to you. Much respect to your dad and you. He was a wonderful musician, and he made a lot of fans happy. He was a very fan-oriented guy, and that says a lot for somebody that went through, what they went through, the 80s and then the ups and downs, and then coming back out and, trying to do what they did. So much respect to him and you both, man, and what you're doing to keep your dad's legacy alive is amazing.
Well, thank you, man. I appreciate it.
I'm a Sunday morning sinner in a white church. On my knees, praying till it hurts in the back road with all the other lost souls. I'm a double shot of whiskey in a dive bar, a cowboy looking for a wild card I can take home. For the sun, I'm long gone.